Welcome back to Leeds Lately. Today's video is just going to be a quick reaction to the England versus Croatia game, but specifically Kalvin Phillips' performance. Now, I wasn't even planning on making this video, but after that performance from Kalvin Phillips, that even as Leeds fans, I don't think we expected him to perform that well. I had to make a video. It's one of those things. A couple of years ago, he thought of himself as a number 8, a player who could play a bit further forward and could get into those attacking positions a bit more. But when Bielsa came in, those of you who aren't Leeds fans watching this, he came in and he was giving out all the squad numbers, and he said to Kalvin Phillips, number 4, and Kalvin was like, I scored 7 goals last season, like what are you on about? And he moulded him into that defensive midfield player he wanted him to be. But what I think that's done, if nothing else, has taught him the discipline required to play in midfield. When he's playing in this game, so for England, he's now playing a little bit further forward with Rice sitting in behind him. But he's been given that license to go forward and to get in those positions and to make runs beyond midfielders that he wouldn't usually make. Usually he's the linchpin, he's the pivot in midfield, and the ball comes into him from the defence, and he tries to play forward passes and break out. But he was given license to go forward in this game, and really obviously he's so vital for Leeds in that position, but it shows that he's got that ability. I mean, we all knew how good he was at passing the ball, short, mid-range and long passing. We all knew that he was very good at finding a player, but in that first half he had 18 out of 18 successful passes, 100% passing accuracy. In the second half he made a run beyond the midfielder. He was played in and he took one touch inside a defender and just played a perfectly weighted weak foot pass into Sterling, who finished for the goal. The way he played today was absolutely unbelievable. For his first game at all in a major tournament for England, he was absolutely immense. How Sterling had a good game, don't get me wrong, and he was really stretching the defence in there, but how he won star of the match, not man of the match, over Kalvin will continue to baffle me, because Kalvin was just in there every time. He was breaking up the play in midfield, and one thing that Jermaine Genius on commentary noticed as well that I was thinking was the way he was just cute with the way he broke up play. He would just make little niggly challenges, like he would put a bit of a gentle hand on the shoulder and a player would go down just as they were trying to counter and break out. And those sorts of tackles are not worthy of a yellow card, so you don't really get penalised for them, but they really break up the rhythm of Croatia. And don't get me wrong, Croatia weren't great today. They were quite poor and toothless up front, to be honest. Kramaric, Rebic and that other bloke up front, Perisic, they just weren't fantastic. Against other teams, maybe we get exposed a little bit more with Tyrone Mings, but he played well. But back to Kalvin, yeah, with Rice behind him, he gave him that license to go forward. And when I did my prediction video where I chose what I wanted from the squad, I did actually have Kalvin and Rice in there at the same time. I think I did anyway. You can go back and check that video out and see if I'm right or wrong about that. But I have said to my mates and stuff that I couldn't see them playing together, because whilst Rice is also good at breaking up the play and stuff, Rice is a bit more of a dribbler and Kalvin's a bit more of a passer. So Kalvin can play up in a little bit higher up the pitch and find those passes. As we saw, there was balls he pinging over the right for Foden and over the left for Sterling throughout that game, and they were bringing them down and getting into good positions from those. So Mount on the left and Kalvin on the right, they worked well together in there. I can't see that happening against some other teams. I think the reason that we played like that today, namely Sterling and stuff playing, was because they play quite a high line, because they're quite a good team. They've got some good players in their squad. Whereas I think when we come up against maybe Scotland and the Czech Republic, they'll play a little bit deeper. So instead of having Sterling trying to run them behind the defence, you'll want somebody like Grealish and Foden to try and unlock a defence with a pass or with a little bit of skill to come inside and score. So you could see Kalvin sitting a little bit further back in games where we're playing against somebody who's a little bit more defensive, to try and counteract their counter-attack. So yeah, I can't see him playing there every game, but the way he played in there today was absolutely unreal. I thought he was man of the match by a mile. I thought it was absolutely fantastic, and I thought it was shutting people up. I've seen Michael Ballack tweeted how good he was, and sort of begrudgingly how good he was, because obviously he's a German and he's a Germany fan. And then Mesut Ozil as well, who's also German, was also saying what a baller about Kalvin Phillips, how well he played. So real recognises real. Those players who've done it on a big level consistently throughout their career in those sorts of positions as well really recognise how good Kalvin was. And there's been a lot of talk about who's having a breakout tournament. Foden, Grealish should have a breakout tournament, but Kalvin Phillips could be a bit of a dark horse for that, because a lot of people were sort of comparing him to Rice and saying that they'd both sit in and they'd rather have Rice over him. But if in games like that Kalvin's actually going to play a little bit further forward, then it's not really about them versus each other. It's about how they play together. And Kalvin mentioned that how he actually does like playing with Declan Rice. So that could be an interesting dynamic going forward. But yeah, I just thought I had to make this video after that performance. I thought he was absolutely immense, and he's so humble. And he's come from 3 or 4 years ago in the Championship. A lot of Leeds fans were saying, "Is he good enough? Do we particularly need him in there? Could we sell him and get a bit of money for him and buy somebody else in?" Bielsa came in and changed all that, and like I say, in that holding role, he's been taught discipline, he's been taught tackling, he's been taught how to break up the play when it's going against you, and how to play those brilliant passes that he does. So then when he does go forward into midfield, he's already got that bearing in discipline and guile in there. So he's a bit more streetwise to counter-attacks than maybe somebody like Mason Mount would be. So he's sort of like, if you imagine Mason Mount is like this far up the pitch, Calvin's like almost there, but then he knows when to come back, he knows when to drop in, and he knows when to make those tackles. So yeah, Kalvin Phillips, man of the match for me today, absolutely fantastic. Now, I am actually going away tomorrow to Scotland, and I will be in Scotland whilst we play Scotland. So I may do a little video on that just to get one out, but it'll be a bit more informal. It'll probably be on my phone. It won't be, maybe the audio won't be as good, but I will maybe do a little video just to have a chat about that game, just so that I'm keeping uploading and people keeping seeing regular content on the channel. So yeah, thanks for watching this one. Just thought I'd make a sort of impromptu Kalvin Phillips video because he's been absolutely fantastic today, and people are starting to realise how good he is. Thanks for watching.